Hi there, I'm Budda and you're watching Dr. Guitar, a show for all you guitarists out there. In today's episode, I'm talking about modulation effects. I'm explaining what modulation effects are and how I use it. If you have been following the show, you know I'm a crazy guy for pedals. So you guess I have way more than these pedals, but these are really inspiring, and I think they can show you how I use modulation and hopefully to inspire you to use some modulation pedals in your own set. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons. If you want to become a patron, just go to my Patreon page. It's a really simple setup and you're supporting the channel. You can also support what we are doing here by PayPal, so by donating some money via PayPal. The link is here. Also, if you want to have some guitar lessons with me, some online guitar lessons with me, just send me a direct message via Instagram. I just released my brand new website, buddhaguedes.com. So just go there. There's a lot of stuff there, online courses, my gear, and you can buy records, t-shirts, everything from there and support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your thumbs up if you like the episode. It's very important and a simple way of helping the channel. What is a modulation pedal? Modulation pedal is actually a pedal that modulates your tone either in pitch or EQ. It will change your tone by modulating it. It's never constant, it's moving, and it's something that moves and gives some movement to your tone. That's why I really love to use modulation pedals and modulation effects on my guitar, and I even use it a lot while mixing on the studio, on vocals, on something, to give it movement, to make it be not an static tone. I have 5 modulation pedals here with me, 5 great ones. So I have the Jam Pedals Retrovibe, one of my favorite vibes in the world. Walrus Audio Julia, which is a chorus or a vibrato, incredible chorus, my favorite of all time. Surfy Industries Vibrato, Surfyvibe. Surfy Industries makes killer vintage instruments. They make my favorite reverb, spring reverb unit, a big one. I've reviewed it in the channel. But they also make a great tremolo and a great vibrato. I have the vibrato here with me. Then I have Janis from Latvia, Tre. You probably heard me talk about Janis pedal. I have the Miesnekis, I think it's how it says. It's an overdrive, a killer overdrive, one of my favorite overdrives of all time. I'm just wishing Janis makes me a double Janis, because I double Miesnekis, because I can use one cleaner than the other, and it's such a great overdrive, This tremolo is kind of a normal tremolo, but with an ability to boost the volume. So it has a volume boost capable of a lot of boosting, which is always useful when using tremolo, because sometimes tremolos lose some volume when you use it. Last but not least, the phaser. The Phase 90 is one of the most famous. I really love the Phase 95. I've done a video comparing the Phase 90 with the Fuzz 95. You can go and watch it. But this is just great because it has a lot of functions. So in the intro, I played a little lick using every one of the pedals. I will go through the pedals and show you how I like to use it and in which setup. So let's start from right to left. First, with the Gem Pedals Retrovibe. The Retrovibe was invented to try to emulate a Leslie sounding speaker, so a speaker that rotates, but they failed and created an incredible pedal. It's kind of a phaser, kind of a tremolo, kind of a pitch vibrato. It plays with the Doppler effect. It was made very famous by my dear friend Jimi Hendrix. He used it a lot, the Univibe. So this is a great, let me just show you a chord. So it has a deep, like wango, wango, wango. It's not constant. It's not dang, 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 dang. It's moving wango, wango, wango. So it's kind of asymmetric, which I really love. It might sound like a wah-wah pedal turned on, like. I love it. It gives me this almost a wah-wah, but it's more than a wah-wah. It's liquid. I like to use it with reverb, with a little drive. I haven't told you yet, but I'm recording at home, so I'm using what I have here at home. Fortunately, they are great amps. So I'm using the Blues Junior with the Ribeira cabinet and my Mesa Boogie Transatlantic 30, which I'm really happy I brought it home. It's such a killer amp for home use. I'm using it with a 10-inch speaker. I love the Transatlantic 10-inch speaker. So I'm giving a little drive on the Mesa Boogie with the H1 channel, and I'm using the Timmy as an overdrive on the Blues Junior. So it's a little overdriven. Let's hear it without. And I'm using reverb on the Transatlantic. So without the vibe. With the vibe. Man, I love it. And this is not supposed to be like a review of each pedal. I'm just showing you how I use the pedals and how I like to use them. So this is how I use my Retrovibe. And the Retrovibe is usually on my studio pedal board that I use to record the episodes and to record some of the things I do in the studio. The Julia has a lot of options. I use it for my funky stuff, like on Dona Carioca, for example. I use it a lot to play funky chords. I will play it with and without so you can hear the difference. Without it, so what a chorus does is it blends two signals. So it has your normal signal from the guitar. And then it blends it with a pitched signal. So it has an LFO, which is the wave that moves like the C waves. And it's warbling, it's changing your pitch in this way. It can be fast or it can be a real gentle slow. Okay, and it's delaying your signal a little. So the pitch, the modulated signal is being delayed by just a few milliseconds, and it does this to your sound. But blending it with your original sound. So this is what it makes if I play a static chord. So you can hear it's modulating, it's creating movement, but it's also creating pitch. So it's changing. It's very useful in guitars, in delays, for example, for guitars. The Memory Man does it really well. But it's also useful to create this embellished chords, like in Purple Rain, for example. He uses something like a chorus. But the way I like the chorus is how John Frusciante uses it in Blood Sugar Sex Magic. So for example, in Mellow Sheep's Link in B major, where he's playing. But even he uses it on, for example, on Under the Bridge, like. For that big E major chord that he plays, like. So I like to use it super subtle, but not for this kind of chords. I set it by playing these chords, but then I use it only on funky stuff where you don't actually hear the chorus because I don't sustain my chords. So if I play a chord like this, you hear the chorus, but if I play it, it almost makes it sound like a doubled guitar, because when you double guitars, when you record guitars twice in the same song, you never get the same pitch and the same timing, so they are kind of floating around and they are chorusing in a random way. With this, I can use it like that, and I love it on mute strings like Jamiroquai stuff. This is a Dona Carioca song, a song of mine, and I use it. I double the guitar, but to play it live, I use the chorus. It gives me this kind of doubled guitar. So listen without the chorus. So it adds some movement, but the Julia has a lot of different stuff. The manual, usually on Walrus Audio's pedals, the manuals are just lovely, just gorgeous, well designed, well built, and it shows off a lot of things. So I haven't showed off the Julia in the channel, so I will explain what it can do, because it can also be a vibrato. What it is, a chorus is a vibrato mixing, blending in your clean signal. If you don't blend the clean signal, you have a vibrato. So if I move it all to the V side, I have a vibrato. So I only have the modulated signal. and you have this shape of the LFO, the wave. They say the sharper shape, the down shape I was using is more useful for vibrato. Then the rate is the speed, the depth is how longer the wave is. If it is, so if you have the center pitch here, if the wave moves very far away from your center, or if the waves is closer to your center, moving just closer. So the more you turn it right clockwise, it starts to be very strange. The less you turn it clockwise. So let's turn it to minimum. If we use the more rounder wave, and then you can use the log, which is kind of the delay. You move the delay tempo, so how the pitched signal is delayed from the original one. This is kind of a Leslie effect. So for the chorus, I like to use this is the 80s clean tones. Everything that was clean was recorded with chorus. So that's how I use chorus. I don't use it for the embellished chords, but a great thing to use to use the vibrato in a 2-amp setup. You can use it going just to 1 amp, use the vibrato, and you get a huge chorus, because only 1 amp is doing the modulation, the other one is clean. It's actually how the jazz chorus, the Roland jazz chorus, does it. One speaker has the chorus, the other one is dry. I found this out by recording a jazz chorus one day and just put a mic on the dry speaker, and we were listening to the chorus on the amp, but it wasn't recording chorus, so then I figured out. So this is how I use chorus anyway. The Surfyvibe, which is a vibrato, it's almost the same. Well, it's actually the same as the Julia vibrato, but it has a different flavor. And the Surfyvibe has 2 modes. It's kind of a vibe with a vibrato. That's why they call it Surfyvibe. So it's kind of a uni-vibe. or an harmonic tremolo, but with a vibrato. I like the vibrato sometimes instead of a tremolo, because what the vibrato does is it changes the pitch, but it doesn't blend with the normal signals, so it doesn't sound like a chorus. It always reminds me like SpongeBob. If we turn it really fast, or real slow, I like it, for example, with a little reverb, and to be played like some Motown stuff. I really love it. It's a great alternative to a tremolo. And it's a really cool pedal. It gives you some flavor. It's a pedal I use usually for not being heard. It's kind of a secret. It's giving you some movement, but I don't intend it to be obvious. You know what I mean? I like it under. Without it, so you can hear it. It gets a little quieter, a little less interesting, I think. The tremolo, I use it in the same way, but usually to listen to it more. And this is a great tremolo. It sounds really good. So it has 3 controls, and although they are written in Latvian, so I don't really know how to pronounce it, I know what they do. So this is the speed, this is volume, it can be a boost or a cut, and this is the wave shape. So what a tremolo does, basically, a tremolo does this to your tone. So a tremolo has an LFO modulating the volume. So the vibrato changes your pitch, so it does this to your tone. And the tremolo does this using volume. It can have a very steep curve, so it's chopped, like they call it the helicopter tone, or it can be a gentle curve, so it's kind of the same as I'm using the volume. On Fender amps, they call their tremolo vibrato, and they call the vibrato on the guitar tremolo. So they are responsible for a lot of misconceptions about tremolo and vibrato. So I hope it's clear now. Let's hear the tremolo. This basically is kind of an intensity of the wave. So the more I turn it clockwise, the more you listen to it. And I can make it quiet to 0, or it's boosting the amps. So I use it in this way. It's something that embellishes your melody, especially if you're playing slower chords. And it's also a good thing to, it's also good to use it quiet and slower. give some movement to it. See how bland it is? It's kind of boring. I would set it like this. I use it like that, and actually I use all the modulation effects in this way. So they are here to create some movement, to embellish my playing, and it's kind of using the tremolo or the vibrato while playing like. It's using it to sustain. It's like a vocal, like singing. You don't sustain notes like a keyboard. You vibrate them. You morph their tone. So this is how I use it. And last effect. Well, I'll actually leave the reverb on. Let me turn some drive from the transatlantic and the Timmy. Last but not least, I use the phaser. I love the Albert King trick, so my Nags has the ability of turning on the neck and bridge like a tele, and then with this switch here, I turn them out of phase. So this is on phase. Out of phase. But Albert King used the phase 90 a lot. Always on, slowest speed. So what is a phase? It's actually funny. I'm playing out and in a phase. So in this guitar, I have the ability to turn the bridge pickup out of phase, and then I have a blend in this tone knob. So when I use the blend at minimum, at 1, it's both pickups equal. The minute I raise the tone, which is the blend, the other pickup, the pickup that is selected, so in this case the neck pickup, gets more pronounced than the other. So here they are completely equal out of phase. And then I will be blending the neck pickup. Now I only have the neck pickup. So what happens with phase? Let me try to use it. Phase is actually when you sum two signals. You need to have two different signal paths. It's what the phaser does, it's what the chorus does. So when you have two signal paths, the chorus changes the modulated signal, delays it for a little, so they are not exactly the same. So you hear a pitch modulation and you hear the chorus effect. But you also are hearing some phase issues, because when you have a wave going up and the other wave is going up, if they are both going up at the same time, they sum and then they add to each other. But if you have a wave going up and another going down in a different spot, you are subtracting some frequencies. This is what phase does. A phaser just adds a second layer and modulates it, so moves it in time, so you are having phase issues. If you pick up your phone with music and move it around, you will listen to a phase effect. So in the phaser, you usually have a simple control. which is speed. You only have speed control. And speed gives you the speed of the LFO, this movement. Very slow. To very fast. Albert King used the out of phase on his guitar and a phaser in a very slow movement like Eddie Van Halen, curiously enough. So it's almost not there, but it's there. Because if you're playing leads like... Listen to the same kind of playing without the phaser. With the phaser. Again, it introduces a movement, some coolness to the tone. Something is moving under that it's not in the rhythm of the song. It's not dependent from the song. So I really like it. But of course, the phaser has a lot of other stuff. If we move, it has a lot of uses, for example, in Fender Rhodes, but there's a Zeppelin song. It has this watery tone. It's kind of a tremolo. Actually, the harmonic tremolo is basically in this way, or a vibe. It's kind of that. The great thing about this MXR is that it has two modes. So the phase 90 and the phase 45. You just turn on. This is the phase 45. I believe it's 2-stage phaser and 4-stage phaser. So it's more intense in the 90, in the phase 90 setting, and way more discreet in the 45 setting. And you still have the script, which removes the feedback from the circuit, which makes it even more subtle. So if we are in the phase 90, script, remove some of the vocal quality, like ay 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 ay. You almost hear an I. If you use the script, you lose it a little. If you use the phase 45, you lose a lot more. So I can use the phase. I also use it a lot for the funky stuff like. It's a killer phase, and if you put it even quieter. Without the phase. With the phase. And you can use the script. So the script is like the old Phase 90. They had a script logo instead of this machined logo, like handwriting. And it was a softer, it had no feedback, so it has a different flavor. So with the script. For a lot of stuff, I like the non-script. For subtle stuff, I like the script, and then we can have the 45. Depending on how subtle you want the phaser to be. That's a great thing to have. And if you want it like a regular Phase 90, you have it. And it is this small. I really like this pedal. This is how I use modulation pedals. And I hope it inspires you to use some modulation pedals. Let me know what you think about the modulation pedals. If you have any suggestions, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I answer all the comments I get, so I'll be answering yours for sure. If you like the episode, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and share it with the world. Leave the thumbs up. If you want to support the channel, you can do it via PayPal. The link is here. If you want to become a patron, just go to my Patreon page and become a patron. You're supporting what we are doing. Also, please visit my website, www.buddaguedes.com. And there's a lot of stuff there. There's the gear I use, some online lessons, online courses. You can buy merchandising there. My band CDs, my t-shirts, everything. You can be in touch. Also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. We'll see each other next week. Bye-bye.